Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Dinomist deck profile. So Dynamist is a really awesome archetype that is a pendulum archetype that I really love playing around with. It has all sorts of different cool combos, and can summon some really amazing extra deck monsters, and has a really good toolbox of extra deck cards that you can play in this deck. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell next to comment part notifications, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below where we have all sorts of awesome rewards you guys, like getting your name scripts for every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron along with test hand. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Dinomist Rex. So Dinomist Rex is a really awesome pendulum monster that has the following pendulum effect. Now once per turn, while this card is in your pendulum zone, you can negate the activation and effects of cards that target another Dynamist card you control, and then destroy this card, which is pretty good because then you can just pendulum summon it out from the extra deck. It also says that if this card attacks, at the end of the damage step, you contribute one other Dinomist monster, and then activate one of these effects. This card can make a second attack during each of your opponents on an opponent's monster in a row, and if this card attacks a defense position monster and inflicts piercing damage, or you shuffle one card from your opponent's hand at random or their side of the field into the deck, and then this card gains 100 attack, which is pretty good. We then play 3 copies of Dynamis Ceratops. Ceratops is pretty good too because if another Dynamis card you control would be destroyed by battle or by opponent's card effect, you can destroy this card instead, which is a pretty good effect as well. And it also has a monster effect that if all the monsters you control are Dynamis, minimum 1, then you have no other Dynamis Ceratops on your side of the field, then you can special summon this card from your hand, which is pretty good. We then play 3 copies of Dynamis Brachion. Brachion is pretty good because it has the ability that once per turn, when this card's in your pendulum zone, you can negate the activated effects of a card that targets a Dynamis monster you control and destroy that card, or you destroy this card, which is pretty good because basically your level 6s have that effect, and then the level 3s or the scale 3s have the other effect where they protect them from being destroyed, which is pretty cool. Then this has the monster effect that if you do not control a Brachion, then in your monster zone and your opponent controls a monster with the highest attack on the field, then you can special summon this card from your hand, which is a really good effect just to instantly special summon it to your hand. We play 2 copies of Spinos. Spinos is pretty good too because you contribute one of their Dynamis card to activate one of these effects to either make this card be able to attack your opponent directly or make this card have a second attack during each battle phase, which is a really good effect. And I've considered bumping this card up to 3, and I say that just about every single profile, but I just haven't gotten around to bumping it up to 3. Because I feel like 2, I see it when I need it, but at the same time, I have plenty of ways to get to it in the deck, so I just play it as a 2-up. We then play 2 copies of the Dynamous Pterodactyl thing. This card is pretty good too because when this card destroys some opponent's monster by battle, you get to add a Dynamis card from your deck to your hand, which is pretty good just to search any of your Dynamis cards from your deck. I play 3 copies of the other Dynamis level 4. This card is really good in the deck too because all Dynamist or all face-up monsters opponent control lose 100 attack and defense for each Dynamist you control, which can be up to 600 attack, which is pretty good. And plus it's a scale 6, which helps out the deck quite a lot. We then play 3 copies of Quick Draw Synchron because it's really helpful to summon your copy of Quick Draw Synchron to your side of the field as a level 5 monster to be able to go into a lot of different plays in this deck. We then play a single copy of Symphonic Warrior Mics. Symphonic Warrior Mics is really cool because this card gives you an additional normal summon because you can special summon this card from your hand by removing 3 Symphonic counters, and after this card is normal or special summon, you get to normal summon additional time during your main phase, which is a pretty good effect. Play 3 copies of Guitar. Guitar is really helpful because when this card is normal summon, you can target one of your Symphonic Warrior monsters in your graveyard and special summon it, or you can discard a card to special summon a Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck, which is always going to be your copy of Mics. So you're going to activate this, which is a scale 7, and then you're going to be able to instantly activate your copy of Mics or special summon your copy of Mics from your deck, which is really helpful. We play 2 copies of Despot 01 because we do play the Auroradon combo in this particular deck, which is a really awesome combo that you can play in the deck. And then we play 3 copies of Ash Blossom just to round out the monsters because Ash Blossom just stops your opponent from all sorts of shenanigans against you. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we are going to be playing a single copy of Double or Nothing because it helps us get into a lot of different plays with Utopia Double to be able to just surprise our opponent and OTK them, and it's really easy just to get all of your Dynamis monsters on your field that are level 4 to just go after your opponent with this card. Play a single copy of Called by the Grave because Called by the Grave just helps out a lot in the deck to stop your opponent from hand traps and stuff like that. And we play 3 copies of Dynamis Charge. So Dynamis Charge is a really good card in this deck, and one of the reasons I really love this deck because it has the ability, when this card is activated, you get to add a Dynamis monster from your deck to your hand. Then once return of a Dynamis card is added from the field to your extra deck, you can add one of those cards from your hand. So it kind of bypasses the whole Master Rule 5 thing, because this card is ridiculously good, because anytime any of your Dynamis go to the extra deck, they actually go to your hand. So if this goes to the extra deck, I just add it to my hand instead of putting it in the extra deck, because it's just a really good card overall that you want to see as quickly as possible to be able to get your Dynamis to your hand so you can pendulum summon them out and not worry about the zones. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Dynamist Howling. Dynamist Howling is a really good card in the deck too, because it has the ability that when this card is activated, you get to place 1 or 2 Dynamis Pendulum monsters from your deck in your Pendulum Zone, but you can't Pendulum Summon until the end of the next turn, except for Dynamist cards, which is not that big of a deal because everything we're going to be summoning is Dynamist anyways, so that's totally fine. It also has the ability that once per turn, if this card is already face on your spell and trap card zone, you can tribute a Dynamist monster and then target 1 card your opponent controls and return to the hand. So this constantly is a compulsory evacuation device, which is really good in the deck to be able to just bounce cards from your opponent's side of the field, which is just an awesome effect. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence as well, just to stop our opponent from all sorts of other stuff that we have on the field, like using our copies of the Impermanence to block another monster effect that they're going to get a search with, like a Stratos effect or anything like that. So this card's really good just to stop our opponent, because then we can summon our Dynamis cards and then get into the extra deck to help us go in for an OTK. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, I will mention this really quickly in the extra deck. If the copy of Needle Fiber or your copy of Auroradon gets hit on the next list, I will say that I've thought about playing a copy of dropping both of those out and putting in 2 copies of Ultimate Tzolk'in and a copy of Crystal Wing, because you can use Crystal Wing and Tzolk'in with the monsters that you have in the deck with the quick draw synchron to be able to go into Ultimate Tzolk'in and your copy of Crystal Wing in the deck as well, because you play a lot of level 5s in the deck with your quick draw to go instantly in for Tzolk'in. So that is an option if you guys want to go that route. And then you could drop the 2 copies of your Despot 01s for an additional draw power, like a copy of Upstart Goblin or 2 copies of Pot of Desires. That's a total option to you guys, but I just thought I would just put this in real quick before we go into the extra deck. So getting into the extra deck, we're going to play a single copy of Bahamut Shark. Bahamut Shark is really good in the deck because you can once per turn detach a material from this card and then special summon a rank 3 or lower water monster from your deck, which is a copy of Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome is really good in the deck and really easy to summon in the deck because this card gives you additional negations on your side of the field. 1 copy of Infinity. Infinity helps out because you can go Infinity Beyond, because Infinity is just really good to negate cards and just be able to gobble up attack position monsters that your opponent has. 1 copy of Nova, because you use Nova to go into Infinity, and you just have to have 2 level 5 monsters on your side of the field to go in for this. 1 copy of Utopia and Utopia Double, because you play the Utopia Double package in this deck, you're going to be going into Utopia Double and then attack or summon Utopia Double, detach a material, add Utopia or add Double or Nothing from deck to hand, and then immediately summon a copy of Utopia on top of your copy of Utopia Double. Comes out at 5,000. You swing at your opponent, detach a material, negate the attack, drop Double or Nothing, swing again, and then you hit them for 10,000 and you win the game, because if they have anything that's less than 2,000 attack points, you're going to instantly win. 1 copy of Abyss Dweller, because it shuts down the graveyard, so this card's really good in the deck just to be able to shut down graveyards. Number 60, because it can double the attack of a monster, or let you draw 2, discard 1, or be able to special summon a monster from the graveyard. You usually don't use the graveyard effect that much in this deck, because the majority of the cards are going from the extra deck to your hand immediately. They're not touching the graveyard. But this card has a really good effect as well, that you can draw 2 and discard 1, but you have to skip your draw phase, skip your next main phase, or special summon a monster from the graveyard in defense, which you usually don't activate, or skip the next battle phase to double the attack of a monster. Now I will say, double the attack of Spino with this card is ridiculous, because you're going to hit your opponent for 5,000 directly, which is really good. We then play for the Link Zones a copy of Appaloosa, and it gives you additional negations, which is super helpful. You play a single copy of Auroradon, because Auroradon can give you additional tokens with your copy of your Despot 01 to be able to synchro into a copy of your F.A.Don Dragster and Herald or Arclight, which is really cool. You play a single copy of Needle Fiber, because if you can get any tuner monster on the field with your copy of your Needle Fiber, which I will say your Quick Draw Synchron does count, which is really cool. You summon out Quick Draw Synchron plus any other monster summon out Needle Fiber, and then go Needle Fiber into Despot 01, and then link away the Despot 01 with a copy of your Needle Fiber to go into your Auroradon, and then Auroradon will summon 3 tokens. You'll special summon back your copy of your Despot 01 from the grave, and synchro away 2 of those monsters to be able to go in additional plays, which is pretty good just to get you those additional monsters on your side of the field. So it's really, really helpful. We play a single copy of the Phoenix because it pops spells and traps. You play a single copy of IP Masquerena because Masquerena just helps out overall in the deck to be able to instantly synchro summon into, or not synchro summon, but link summon into another card. One copy of Dawn Dragster because Dawn Dragster just helps out in the deck a lot to be able to deal with your opponent's spells and traps. Then a single copy of Herald of the Arclight because you can either go into either one of these cards to be able to pop off against your opponent to give you additional negations. And I will mention one card that I thought about putting in here, but I didn't want to play any more bricks in the deck because you already play Mikes that you don't want to draw. You already played the 2 copies of Despot 01. So I thought about actually really quickly before we end the profile, I thought about actually dropping the copy of Called by the Grave and putting in a copy of Colt Wing or Mecha Phantom Beast Colt Wing because you can put it in here to help out with your Auroradon combo. So that's a total option for you guys if you want to drop the copy of Called by the Grave to put that in here because this deck doesn't really care that much about hand traps. It just kind of deals with them and can play through them. So that is an option for you guys if you want to drop the Called by the Grave for a copy of Colt Wing to extend your plays with your Auroradon because when you summon the tokens, you contribute 2 of the tokens to be able to instantly special summon from your deck a copy of Colt Wing, which will give you your 2 tokens back, along with the 2 copies of your, the 3 tokens and a Despot 01, which can get you into additional synchro plays if you want to go that route. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a really fun deck to play with. I definitely recommend that if you guys have not played with this deck. It's pretty budget, to be honest with you guys, because the majority of the stuff in the extra deck has been reprinted, except for Needle Fiber and IP is a little bit expensive. They're like $20 or $30 for the Needle Fibers, and then the copies of your IP is like $10, but you don't have to play that. You can go for the Tzolk'in package, like I mentioned, and drop the Auroradon package in here if you want to go that route and play Tzolk'in plus Crystal Wing, and it would be another total route for the deck. Like, that's what I love about this deck, is there's so much toolbox to the deck that you can just throw in the extra deck. If you don't want like the Auroradon combo, you can go for the copy of what's it called? You can go for your copy of Tzolk'in plus Crystal Wing, and you don't have to play the Auroradon combo, so it's up to you guys. So anyways, guys, the DarkArmedDuelist, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.